So we're looking at old cast iron skillets. This is the one I mentioned the other day. Yesterday, in fact, it has beeswax I use as a finish, and I made up my own paste. I'm going to eventually do the bottom here too, and I want to show you how you can tell that these are older skillets, are made in the 1870s in that time period. Earlier skillets, cast iron. Um, that hole was drilled. There's a handle I'd put on here, my neighbor had put on here, and I could still do that. But we're going to look at this overall. Okay, so one of the indicators that this is an older skillet is I see a million different ways right here. Number one, there's no markings on it, which means it wasn't a foundry like Griswold or any of the others. A lot of times, the older skillets do not have any markings on them, which makes it really hard to try to figure out the age of them. Um, Number two, I'm seeing this little ridge here. You see that? And it was used as a very, very used old skillet. So I can tell right there that it was made for use as a griddle on one of those old wood burning stoves. It would fit right on it. And we're going to look at how thin it is. And for the younger generation, I mean, I know this is high iron, it's cast, but I'm going to explain to you the process of how it was made. I've done this in the foundry. When I was in high school, they used to let us do this kind of stuff. So let me illustrate for you. Back to the old whiteboard. So let's say you have something. It's a skillet you want to make. And it's three-dimensional. You're going to cast this all in one pouring. So you have the item. And what you have are two boxes. One is like this, and the other sits on top of it. And you have locks. And these are heavy, heavy steel. Or in some cases, it could be wood. What you're going to do with the first box, this is looking upward, is you're going to take it from the upside down, like kind of like look. You're going to have it where the item that you want, you're going to have facing down. So you're going to put the item with this being this side on the bottom, this part. This is the bottom part, and that's the top part. So you're going to invert it. And I'm going to lay it down on a piece of wood or like a piece of plywood. I'll give you an example. I'm going to lay that skillet inside here. And at this point, I would have the bottom part of the skillet facing up. Okay, so it's facing up. Now I'm going to fill that, like if it's in here, bottom side facing up, it's going to be in there like that. Okay, so I'm going to have it in there. And I'm going to take sand and I'm going to pound sand in there and I'm going to fill it up with sand. So make sure it's at the bottom. And I'm going to take a little wooden mallet and I'm going to make that sand as hard as I can to get all the air pockets out of it. And I'm going to flip it carefully. And it's going to be upside down. And what you're going to see is this top part is just going to have the skillet in it. Okay. So then I'm going to put this other part on top. And it'll just be sand and then the skillet. So next I'm going to make places you see that on that skillet there's lines like this where the raised parts are. So I'm going to take probably right here and right here I'm going to have two holes I'm going to dig. So I'm going to put a metal rod in there. Pack that in there with a metal rod. Or you could also go off here or here. Okay, any place. A lot of times you would probably go off here and you dig a channel. But you want it at the highest spot to where it'll, like wherever you have the highest spot on this item, you want to have right there where the air will escape, because you want to fill this with molten metal. And so I'm going to do that right there. So I'm going to have a metal bar. I'm going to go in right here and right here. So that's on top. So next I'm going to take this other part that I have and I'm going to put sand around it. And I'm going to fill all this up with sand. Okay, and I'm going to pack it back in. So it's all packed in. So now it's packed real tight, tight sand on the bottom, tight sand on the top, and then the item in the middle. So now I'm going to lift and pull these out. You're going to have two holes going down. And I'm going to take it back apart, carefully remove that piece of metal that I want to make a copy of, which is a skillet. And I'm going to have that air space in there. Now on the top of this, like where the sand is, you're going to have a groove cut in like this on the one. And it's going to go all the way down to that empty hole where the cavity is, and come back up this way. So I'm going to pour, when this is together, molten iron into here. It's going to fill this cavity, and it's going to make an exact copy of that skillet. That's how this skillet was made. So they had a one that they used to make a mold of, because this was, you know, the copy you're going to get, it's going to have places where there's going to be gaps, air pockets. You're going to have to polish it. After it's done, after it's cooled, you're going to have to take this out of the oven, or out of that sand, clean it all off. There's going to be sand stuck to this. You're going to wash it, and you're going to have ridges. You're going to see places like this where you can see the ridges. And one of the facts it's made out of thin metal is telling me it was made cast the old-fashioned way. They didn't want to waste their metal. They wanted to make it thin, and they wanted to make it durable. But you're going to be looking along here for anywhere that you see these higher ridges where it might have been the original part. So what they would do once they had it out is take a hacksaw, and they would cut those off, and they would polish and sand them out. Now on this one I really can't see a whole lot because it's the time and the age and the wear. But I see definitely, if you see this spot right here, there's a spot, that round hole is one of the spots where it was drilled, or where the peg stood, the air intake or outtake was. And the other one should be along here somewhere, I believe right here. So that's where the molding was. And this was in a cavity. Iron was poured in. The iron spread all across that empty place, just like any liquid would. And it's kind of weird to think of sand being something that, you know, isn't going to give that much. And it does give some, because it's a liquid flowing over it. It's a heavy liquid, but it makes that mold. And that's how these cast iron skillets are made. If you ever have made anything like that, I did a lot in shop class. Made a little pew, and I made a couple other things, a bird, and this is like a different time. This is a different era. This isn't a foundry, and just imagine the heat. You're doing this all day. You're making a couple copies of skillets. You have a blank that you're putting in. You're probably making about 10 or 12 of these at a time, because you're not going to be able to deal with the molten metal from one ladle to the other. You're going to be pouring more in. You have a flux that you put in. You know, that flux is going to come bubbling up, and then you're going to let it cool. Then you're going to be taking them out, and you're going to be cutting them. You're going to be polishing them, and you can really tell with these older skillets that they were hand polished because of how smooth they are on the inside. That's so smooth, it's like butter, and from the use. It's what differs from the skillets you get today. It's what differs from this thing, which I'm getting it seasoned. I'm getting it seasoned. This is just working up those layers of seasoning. I'm using grape oil. That's how they made cast iron skillets.